Wells Traveler vs. the Planets is a movie based off of a comic book about a weirdo in his quest to pipe a new girl in town. But first, he has to put her 7 former husbands on the news. I've heard of this comic for years, but I never read it, and I didn't see the movie until a couple of days ago either, but I kept seeing you guys saying I should go over it, so here I am. But before we get into that, let's talk about a brand deal. See, the real ones from Filmora have sponsored this video, and they gave me this free software to use to edit. While I usually use Sony Vegas, Filmora is actually pretty cool, and it's easy for anyone to understand. If you want to make videos of your own, I can recommend using something like this, because it gets the job done. And now that we've got that covered, we can move on to the video. So the movie starts out in America's less important northern brother, with all these confusing graphics telling us who the characters are. The main hero is Welsh, and his life consists of practicing trash music with the rest of the lowlifes he calls friends. There's a guy who's the leader, a girl who always gets on Welsh's ass for one thing or another, and a guy that does nothing. Also, it turns out he's playing an R. Kelly, and seeing a girl who still rides the school bus, so everyone's looking at him like he's a carnivore. When she comes to visit, she gets fanned out over Welsh's lame band, because I guess she thinks this type of music is still the wave. After she leaves, the rest of the band except the girl thinks she's lit, and Welsh goes home to his roommate, who owns everything in the room, and basically finances Welsh's life, because he's a bum who can't take care of himself. He tells him that he's dating a minor, but then also tells him to keep it low-key. But the roommate is a snake, so of course he tells Welsh's sister, who proceeds to get on his ass for it, like everyone else. After that, Welsh and the high schooler go to do all sorts of things together, and have a gay old time. But then one night, Welsh has a dream about a girl who's actually old enough, but then it turns out he actually saw her before, when he was out with the high schooler, so now he wants to pipe her. In some later scene, Welsh is at some party, where he tries to ask around about the new girl. He shows some guy some scribbles, but he instinctively knows what he's talking about, because he's a G, and then Welsh is able to meet up with her. But in their interaction, he proves himself to be a lame, and now he has to go on a quest to know everything about her, and redeem himself. While he's asking the whole block about his future wife, they tell that she's an Amazon employee from a more relevant country, but some lame-ho tries to tell him to piss off, because she's trying to cock-block him. But of course our hero isn't going for some random female's opinion, so he's gonna do what he's gonna do. When he gets back home, his roommate learns of his predicament, and wants to get snitches to his sister even in his sleep, because he's that devoted to making sure a nigga doesn't just have a good time. So he orders on Amazon, in an attempt to link up with her, but then he gets an email from some rando, telling him that he's gonna put him on a shirt at an upcoming concert, but Welsh doesn't have time for nobodies, so he pretends he didn't see it. Welsh goes out with a teenager again, but this time he's very disrespectful, because he's thinking about someone else, but she doesn't really notice, because she's so fanned out over him. He tries to take his ally's advice and end things, but he ends up not doing that and just bringing her over for practice, where he's now even more useless than normal because a lot of things are on his mind. So the band leader tells them about a future big concert or something, and they decide to have the youth dress up to make it look like they actually have stands. Later on, Welsh has another dream about his wife, and then she walks through the door to deliver his package because she can travel through the mindscape or something. So Welsh harasses her to give him the time of day if he can sign a package, and she agrees. So they go for a walk and end up at her crib, where they get in bed but don't actually do anything, but it's okay, because they're both feeling each other, so that's all that matters. After she goes to leave, he gets her number, and it has some weird symbols on it, but whatever. Then they go to the concert, where Welsh notices his wife is there, and then his sister came out to spread his business everywhere, and introduces his wife to the high schooler, who then jumps on Welsh because she thinks he still cares about her. When Welsh notices the very dangerous situation he's in, he does the dash, and gets scared to do anything. Meanwhile, some bum-ass band gets told by Welsh's roommates, so they get in their feelings, but for some reason, Welsh's band leader actually thinks they have talent, and starts pussying out. Eventually, Welsh sees his wife and the minor about to talk to each other, so when his band starts to play, and you know the whole crowd is feeling it for some reason, so it looks like the day is saved. But then some rando comes in and attacks Welsh because he's one of the wife's ex-husbands. He starts to feel some type of way about the fact that Welsh ignored his empty threats, and they start throwing hands, and for some reason, everyone in this movie has superpowers, so Welsh is giving him the beats. But then he goes final form and summons a low-budget movie song number to start blasting people, and he ends up murking the other band, but Welsh manages to stop him, and he turns into money. After this, his wife tells him that he needs to get rid of her 7 wicked former partners, and that he was the first of them. So later on, Welsh tells his roommates to fuck off for the day, because his wife is coming over, but he says he'll only do it if he stops leading the high schooler on. So after another day of disrespect, the minor is still fanned out over him, but he tells her that he's done, so she's in her feelings. Then when he's practicing with the band, he shows up with his new wife, and the female band member is once again feeling some type of way, but the other niggas don't really care. But now his wife's hair is different, so he starts to think she's acting a little too wild and gets scared. Then when his wife says something about his hair, he gets reminded about how one of his former wives did him dirty and abandoned him after he got a lame haircut, and teleports a hat to cover himself. Eventually they end up going to some movie set, and the roommate is there too. At first everything's looking chill, you know, but then it turns out the movie actor is one of the wife's evil former partners, and starts beating the bricks out of Welsh. Even though he could just do it himself, he gets the shadow clones to do the jihad for him, and things are looking tough for Welsh. But it turns out he was able to beat them, so the actor has to go back and put him on the news himself. but before he can finish the job, Walsh manages to trick him into doing a skateboard trick that ends up getting him sent to a new realm, so Walsh gets to live for another day. But then he gets in his feelings again, because it turns out his wife pissed off for some reason. Back at the crib, Walsh and his roommates are talking about Walsh's wife, and then he gets a call from his former wife who did him dirty, and she calls him to make sure he's unhappy because she's possessed. Then the high schooler pulls up to the crib, so the real-ass roommate covers for Walsh while he does the dash. Then Walsh is walking, and he gets snuck by some psycho, but he tells her he's not trying to do all that right now, so she gets lost. After this, Walsh tries to call his sister for support. When he gets there, it's just that bumhole from earlier, once again feeling some type of way because Walsh didn't listen to her, as if she has any type of authority ever. But then he meets up with his wife again, and they talk about her disappearing, but also Walsh's ex shows up again, and gets heated over the fact that Walsh doesn't want to jump. When Walsh meets up with the rest of the band, the leader tells him that they're opening up for his ex-wife, because he has no regrets for how he feels in a situation like that, so understandably, Walsh just hurts. Also, while they're talking, the miner is stalking them from the window like a creep. Then she goes to her friends to talk shit about his wife, because she doesn't have it like that, and decides to dye her hair blue to copy her, and also hook up with that guy that does nothing to make Walsh feel some type of way. So the band does some lame performance, and the wife isn't dick riding them, so the band leader thinks they're trash. But then the youth comes in and starts getting close to the relevant guy, but nobody really cares. Then they see Walsh's ex performing, and the guy in the job is the wife's ex, so now they both have something to worry about. After the performance, that lame hoe tells them that the exes want to meet backstage. So a lot of guys are there, but the only people that really matter are Walsh, his wife, and their exes. So the high schooler does too much, and the wife's ex has to put her down, which causes Walsh to try to catch a fade with him, but he gets forced choked and hoed, because even though everyone in this movie has superpowers, the ex is a vegan, so he has like ultimate powers, and starts bullying Walsh. Walsh tries to have them battle with instruments, but even that isn't enough to stop him. So just before the vegan ex can turn him to a memory, Walsh manages to trick him into drinking a non-vegan beverage, which causes Vegan 12 to strip him of his powers, and gives Walsh the opportunity to put him in his blunts. Then he gets his ex to stop being a weirdo. After this, Walsh gets on his wife's ass for having so many former relationships with psychos, and then she learns about all the nonsense he was pulling with his former relationships. But then that Wonka from later shows up to throw hands with Walsh, but he doesn't want to hit someone that bleeds once a month, so his wife fights her instead, but that's against the rules or something. So then the wife uses Walsh's body to fight against her, until she splits them up, but then Walsh manages to get her out of the way by hitting her in her G-spot, which happens to be in the back of her knee for some reason. So Walsh and his wife start dissing each other, and she leaves him with the list of the rest of her exes, and the next on the list are twins. When the band goes to perform, they have to face against the twins at the same time, and also the female band member tells Walsh about his wife talking to some talent scouts who's been seen throughout the movie, and it turns out to be her final former partner. So Walsh decides to put it together in order to stop the twins, and they catch a fade with each other with their music. Walsh ends up winning and getting extra life like this is a video game. But when he goes to see his wife, it's too late, and she tells him that she's divorcing him to go back to her final ex. Then the final ex sends a record contract for the band, but Walsh is unable to accept it, so they just do him dirty, or replace him with that guy that does nothing. So Walsh gets in his feelings at a park, so his sister comes to give him support, but then she disrespects him behind his back, so not too many props can be given. Back at the crib, Walsh gets another call from the final ex, telling him that he has his wife now, just to hoe him even further. So the roommate encourages him to catch a body. When Walsh gets there, he has a confrontation with the final ex, and he pulls a sword of love out of his chest and starts getting minions out of the way. So he and the final ex are throwing hands, but when the ex goes down, all of a sudden the miner comes out of nowhere and starts trying to catch a fade with the wife, and then Walsh exposes himself about how he did them both cuts, but before he can make things better, the final ex pokes him through the back and murks him. While he's in limbo, he reflects on his L, but then he remembers he has an extra life, so he can't go out like that. So when he goes back to confront his ex, now he has a sort of self-respect, and he's even more powerful than before, and puts the ex down. Once again, the high schooler attacks the wife, but this time he stops it early by telling them himself how he did them both dirty. So he and the high schooler both throw hands with the ex, but he's too powerful for them, so the wife steps in and kicks him in the testicles, so he slaps her down the stairs, which causes Walsh and the high schooler to both give him the beats. Then Walsh finishes him off, and the day is saved, but it turns out Walsh has one final boss to take care of, which is Evil Him, but they both end up talking and finding out they have a lot in common, so not really much of a problem. The movie ends with Walsh and the high schooler coming to an understanding, and then Walsh going to make things work how they're supposed to with his wife. Overall, this movie was some real heats. I'm glad you niggas told me to watch it, because if I had seen this when I was younger, it could have changed my life. It's really annoying how this movie didn't do that well in theaters, but bums will be bums, so well. Let me know what other movies and TV shows you want me to go over, and always remember that if you have to divorce someone and you know they're a problem, make sure you energy bend them so they can no longer use their powers to act up. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video, and as always, thanks for watching.